Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our much anticipated Superman review. We have lots to discuss today. We're going to start off with about 10 minutes of spoiler free discussion. Then we're going to go full on spoilers. If you've seen the movie, grab some popcorn, grab a drink. We're going to be here a while. We have lots to discuss. Will, in our 6 months on YouTube, this is probably the video I've been most anticipating so far. Let's start talking about Superman. For context, it's currently sitting strong on Letterboxd with a 4.0, 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, 93% audience score. Had a big $125 million opening, which DC's popping champagne bottles over. We both rated a 9 out of 10 out of the theater reaction. Personally, mine's actually gone up a little bit to about a 9.5. I saw it the Saturday after, and I loved it just as much. Will, you've had about a week or so to ruminate on your thoughts. Has the movie gone up in your eyes, down in your eyes, stayed the same? What do you think?
I think it stays the same. It's a damn good flagship uh movie by DC and James Gunn. Like, kudos to him. Like, full standing ovation for him. This is an absolute banger of a film. And like I said in our immediate reaction out of the theater, this is Iron Man, but done much better. The amount of land they covered, so to speak, is insane, and they did it very, very well. I know going in, I was a little afraid that there wouldn't be uh, enough to go around for all the characters involved. But I mean, I really should have underestimated James Gunn. The Guardians trilogy really just kind of epitomizes what he's able to do, and he took that and hit it even further out of the ballpark with this film.
Yeah, I mean, my first reactions is almost like I don't even want to criticize this movie because I like it so much and I want to keep it that way. But even a lot of the criticism I see online, I think, is a little unwarranted. And we'll talk about that a little bit later when we go into spoiler talk. But to me, this movie is just incredibly fast paced. There's enough ground in here to cover 2.5 hours, and the 2 hours and 10 minutes or so does fly by. Perfectly cast, well acted. I mean, Crypto is the star of the show. He steals every scene he's in. I think this movie has a really good opening as well that we'll go into a little bit. And I think it looks really good. I mean, when you look at it, the green screen to me looks better than pretty much every DCEU film and a lot of the more modern MCU movies. I think Gunn did a really good job there. Um, you mentioned the world building. I mean, I completely agree. I think on our ride home that one night, I mentioned I think there's more world building in this than all of Phase One of the MCU, and that was 6 movies basically. We'll cover into more specifics in that in a minute. Um, to me, Will, another you kind of brought up a point that there's a lot of things in here that are sort of balanced well. There's a lot of characters, but that share the screen together, and none really kind of is given a whole bunch more screen time than the other, aside from Superman, of course. And this really reminded me a little bit of the Kevin Spacey movie American Beauty. Just kind of funny enough, Kevin Spacey played Lex Luthor. They're completely different movies, but in American Beauty, um, there's like 8 or 9 characters, but Kevin Spacey is by far the main character, and he's interacting with the other 7 or 8 characters around him almost equally. And I think that's kind of what this movie is like. You see Superman interacting with Lex, you see Superman interacting with Lois, you see him interacting with the Justice Gang, with Crypto, with the automatons at the Fortress of Solitude, and Ma and Pa Kent, for example. They're all kind of balanced well. One doesn't outshine the other per se, and I think James Gunn did a really, really incredible balancing act with this film. So yeah, like I said, it's gone up to a 9.5 for me. There's more details and references I noticed on the second time, but we'll dive into that in a little bit. Do you have any other comments you want to make before we dive deep into spoiler talk, Will?
No, all I'll say is that, like, while everything was kind of balanced very well, James Gunn left all the side characters kind of open, so to speak. Like, there are a lot of two-dimensional characters, but there's enough meat on the bone that you can build off of them,
Yeah.
right? Like, Guy Gardner, Hot Girl, like they aren't Mr. Terrific to a degree. They're more two-dimensional characters within the context of the film,
Yep.
but that's not a bad thing. That's something that you can build off of in a TV series if they were to go that route. Which I really hope they don't. But they keep doing movies.
Mm-hmm.
So they centralize around these characters. There's enough there to pull, and that's just a great device to have if you're James Gunn in the DC universe.
Absolutely. So, guys, if you have not seen the movie, make sure you save this video for later. But we are about to dive deep into spoiler talk. Will, why don't we start by doing our top 10 favorite characters of the film?
Ooh.
That can lead into some nice segues with other topics I want to discuss here later on. I'll go first if you would allow me to.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. Hawk Girl, I think she was good. Out of the Justice Gang members, she shined the least, had the least amount to do, but she has a very very important moment at the end of the film, which I think is going to lead into other things that people are sort of overlooking. Um, I put Ma Kent as an honorable mention as well. Metamorpho or Element Man, I'd put as an honorable mention, but I'll do my 10 through 5 or 10 through 6. You do your 10 through 6 with honorable mentions. So we'll do 5 through 2 and number 1, right?
Okay.
So number 10, I have Jimmy Olsen, um, a character who in most Superman projects I don't really care too much about, but his side plot in this movie, although it's probably the most least interesting, it's still well done and is still important to the story. And I do kind of like the idea of a Jimmy Olsen spinoff show in the sense that, well, I've always been adamant that Marvel should do other projects that are not superhero focused, that can focus on different aspects of the MCU with normal characters. And I would actually be okay with the Jimmy Olsen TV show personally. Number 9 might be low to some people, but I have Guy Gardner. Nathan Fillion does the best that he could. He definitely has personality. He's a bit of an a-hole. I can't get over the bowl cut, to be honest. He looks really really goofy. But that's just me. Number 8, I have a character that I would have never guessed would have been in my top 10 favorite characters of this movie. That is Eve Tessmacher, Lex Luthor's girlfriend, who at first is portrayed as a bimbo sort of social media model person who very easily could have been a caricature and a stereotype, but she ends up being one of the biggest heroes of the movie. I mean, she ends up revealing Luthor's plot and doing so in a subtle way because she's terrified of going to this pocket universe prison that Lex has created, understandably, wanting to keep herself safe in that way. Really, really interesting character that could have just been a lot worse in the hands of a worse director, but I think James Gunn played his card smart with that character. Number 7, I have Ultraman. It's really hard to rank him much higher than 7 because he is just an evil version of Superman, an evil clone. Intentionally doesn't have a whole lot of personality. But I have a ton of theories about where they could be going with Ultraman that we'll discuss later on. And then number 6, I have Pa Kent. I think his scene with Clark in Smallville on the farm is maybe my favorite scene of the movie. It's very, very well written. I think they're well cast. And yeah, that was to me the emotional highlight of the movie. So 10 through 6, I got Jimmy Olsen. Then I got Guy Gardner, Eve Tessmacher, Ultraman, and Pa Kent. Will, what are your honorable mentions in your 10 through 6?
Not really any honorable mentions, but I'll go straight into my list here. I'm gonna throw in Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner as number 10. A little, as I mentioned earlier, his portrayal is a little two-dimensional. I was really hoping for a little bit more out of the character, given the hype that was going on with this going into the premiere. But I mean, it is a Superman movie after all, so it's hard to really fault James Gunn with that. But yeah, you get glimpses of just how much of a dick he can be. um, and he does have a really couple of really funny or a couple of funny moments. But I mean, overall though, he's kind of inconsequential to in a sense until the climax of the film, which is why I have him at number 10. He just doesn't really do a whole lot. Um, at number 9, I'm gonna go with Hawk Girl.
Okay.
Isabel Merced. Again, just very two-dimensional. I like her take on the character though. Because for those who aren't familiar, Hawk Girl does appear in the CW verse for a bit. Totally different setup. But we also don't have a whole lot of backstory to her powers, to her
Right.
actual full story or biography. Um, but Isabella Merced is pretty tiny compared to other iterations of the character. But she plays it very well. She kind of plays it very 2025.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in any sort of negative way. It's just really funny to see because she's kind of like that almost like that stereotypical stuck up young person.
Right.
It's the sense you kind of get. But again, there's not really a whole lot to go off of on the character, which is why I have her right at number 9. In at number 8, I'm gonna shout out Perry White, played by Wendell Pierce.
Ooh, nice.
Don't get a whole lot from him, but I like Wendell Pierce as an actor. Um, just a very strong actor that I've seen. I mean, honestly, everyone's probably seen him in something.
Yeah,
He's got a very big filmography. But he plays again like the other two characters. He's kind of two dimensional because you don't really get a whole lot of like fleshing out of the character too much. But he hits kind of the highlights that you expect from the character, which is really good to see. You get
absolutely.
some classic like newsroom boss one-liners as they're like creating a story while the world's just being destroyed, which is I like that scene. It's really solid scene. But yeah, he's at number 7, and in number 6,
Oh,
I
that's
gotta
number
get.
8, right? You had Perry White at 8.
Oh, that was number 8. Yeah, number 8. Number 7. I'm gonna go Mom Pa Kent.
Nice.
Um, my only complaint about the two characters is I think they're a little too rednecky in a sense.
Well, it is
Um,
kind of authentic to the Kansas origin to a
it
degree.
is, but I think they I think they hammed it up a little bit. Um, I think they could have like dialed it back just a little bit. Like the accents alone could have kind of put the point across, but there are some times where it's really hard to understand what they were saying. Especially Mod Kent, which you got really excited. But as you said, it's kind of the emotional device of the movie, and it plays up very, very well. And to move the story along, like to kind of really like reinvigorate Superman, like his faith in humanity, and more importantly, his faith in himself.
Sure.
Which we'll get into a little bit of why he's in that spot. But yeah, I like the fact they didn't do what Snyder did, and they didn't kill off either one of them. Um, Having them present is I think is very important for Superman's humanity. And again, this is a very important part of the movie, which we'll get into in a little bit. In at number 6, I got to go Eve Tessmacher, played by
Nice.
Sarah Sampaio. She played it so wonderfully. Like you really get that like bimbo like wannabe influencer vibe,
Hmm.
and I was very distracted by the character in the first half of the movie. And then once you actually understand what the hell's going on with her, it's like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And also shout out that James Gunn brought an original character from the original Superman movie into his universe. Like this is a character that
Otis is
was
also in this as well. You hear Luther
yes.
drop Otis's name.
But yeah, this is a character who wasn't in the comics pre uh Superman 1,
1978. Yeah.
pre that film. So I mean, shout out to him for paying homage to a classic and to what came before him. So yeah.
Yeah. I've actually heard a lot of people say that this is like James Gunn had really strong female characters in this movie. And I would completely agree. I mean, you got Hawk Girl. I mean, you got Lois Lane, who's really like the whole city's being destroyed and she's still in her office trying to figure out how to, publish this article.
You know
So
what's really funny about that is like is yeah, it's great for that. And then you got like well, it was who took over the Snyder the Justice League? Was it Joss Whedon?
yeah,
And he was well known for that, and he did not do that whatsoever in his
nope.
when he took over. So yeah, just really funny that James Gunn was able to do it, and Joss Whedon, who's known for that, couldn't.
Yeah. So my guess, Will, is we have the exact same top five, just in different orders.
Probably, I would
Um,
assume so. I mean, there's not a whole lot to go off of. So
no. My number five is Mr. Terrific, played by Eddie Gathegi, who I love Darwin and X Men First Class. And X Men First Class is, by the way, my favorite X Men movie. And I kind of liked the idea of Darwin when he gets introduced. He could adapt to anything to survive. Like I always thought, like if he's on an island that's burning, he could fly away. He could just grow wings and adapt to survive in that sense. Like there's so many cool things you could do with that character. And of course, Kevin Bacon kills him about 5 minutes after he gets introduced. He was just done
yeah,
dirty, and he's been very open about it in public interviews. So I'm really happy he's got another shot to play another big superhero character. And Mr. Terrific is a guy who, Will, you and I were fans of Arrow for a while, but he didn't really shine in Arrow at all, at least not for me. But you really believe this guy is one of the smartest people in the world, knows what he's doing. and he's just a really really fun character. He's got like a dry sense of humor. He has one of the best laughs in the movie. Uh, I know you really really got to you when you said, "I'm goddamn Mister Terrific," and
Tremendous line.
I mean, this was a guy who was a C or B tier character who really stole this movie for a lot of people, and that's the power of James Gunn right there. And like I said, very well played by Eddie Gathegi. There's talks now of doing a Mr. Terrific spin-off TV show. I'd be down with that if it introduces some more side characters, helps expand this world a little bit more. Number four, and you could really order these top four in any way, but I'm going to go Lois Lane here, played by Rachel Brosnahan, who just embodies everything that you would think of when you hear of Lois Lane. She has great chemistry with David Cornsweet. Um, she has some funny moments as well, and I really like the Mr. Terrific action scene, how it's all from her perspective, and she's looking around and just kind of in awe and wonder of the world she's in. And again, just a really strong character, very, very well portrayed. Number three, and this is where it gets really, really tough. I'm going to put Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor here. Will, in our out of theater reaction, or maybe on the way home, you mentioned that you think this is the best interpretation of Lex Luthor yet in live action. And in the moment, I'm like, I don't know, Gene Hackman, right? I think I agree with you now. I think this is the best live action version of Lex Luthor. He is just pure evil. He's driven by envy and pitiful, but he also acknowledges that and still doesn't care, which to me makes him even more scary. And I mean, there's going to be so many things that get memed from this movie. Like today at work, I was looking at my Excel spreadsheet, and I came across A1. I just kept thinking, A1, A1. And I mean, Nicholas Hoult, I mean, one of the most underrated actors in the world. It's been in some great movies the last 2 or 3 years. Glad that he's finally getting his flowers. Then at number two, I mean, this is a guy who should be everywhere. Every kid should be asking for a plush of Crypto for Christmas this year. I mean, I mentioned to you, Will, that this has Baby Yoda potential or even Baby Groot potential. They need to merchandise the crap out of this dog. I mean, our generation, Will, usually is content with dogs even more than babies. Like some people have dogs before they get kids or don't want kids, they have dogs. And I mean, this is an element of the movie that's really hitting with people, that's really putting smiles on people's faces. And I mean, it did that for me too. I mean, when I saw it with my dad and Superman wakes up in Kansas and Crypto's sitting on his chest, my dad's like, this is like every morning for me. It's just super relatable. Um, yeah, I mean, Crypto. And the nice thing too is we're probably not going to have to wait long to see him because he'll probably be in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow in some way or another. And then number one, I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point. It's the namesake of the movie. I have Superman at number one. Really well portrayed by David Cornsweet. Really embodies the character. Really understands the character. You've seen interviews with him. The whole trunk debate and how he said that Superman should wear trunks. That way, kids think he's kind of goofy and silly and is more approachable. I think he really understands the character. He had to be number one. It is his movie, and he is great in the movie. So that's my 5 through 1. Mr. Terrific, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, Crypto, and Superman. Well, take it away.
Um, I mean, yeah, we're probably at the same. I mean, not the same order, but I mean, at number five, I'm gonna kind of double dip here. I'm gonna say, it's gonna be Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho,
Oh,
played
okay.
by Anthony Carrigan. Who, I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know it was Anthony Carrigan until after the fact, like till when I got home and I looked up the cast list. I did not know this was Anthony Carrigan. And for those who don't know who Anthony Carrigan is, I guarantee you do know who he is because he's been in a lot of great shows and he's very recognizable.
He was
Um,
Victor Zaz in Gotham, I
he
believe.
was Victor Zsasz in Gotham. He's in Bill Hader's TV show that's on
Barry.
HBO, Barry. Um,
He was in Death of a Unicorn earlier this
yeah,
year.
he's in a lot of stuff and he's very recognizable. Um, and then yeah, like Mr. Terrific was great. Like I mean, I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. Like that's just a great line,
Yeah.
and it's so simple too, right? And I mean, between those two, like I wasn't a big fan of Metamorpho's powers in a sense. Like I did have a complaint about him just creating a sun without any
Really? I
sort
thought
of
that was one of my favorite parts of the character. Interesting.
I didn't like the fact that he did it and there was no like ramifications from it because I mean
Yeah,
if you
that's
create
fair.
something that powerful, it's there's gonna be destruction in the immediate vicinity and there really wasn't.
Makes you wonder
Um,
what that glass is made out of, the prison
I mean,
cells.
yeah, yeah, hell, I can suspend my belief for that, so I like that. It's a good one. But yeah, Mr. Terrific, his action scene, from Lois's perspective, to me was like kind of like Superman's, like this movie's Darth Vader hallway scene in a
Yeah,
sense. And he just kicked ass. And then like I love the fact that like while he was trying to figure everything out, like he's really snippy with people around him and just really sarcastic. I mean, everyone could be kind of relatable to that, where you're under pressure and you just kind of throw out some sass at people because
yeah, and he's
like
he's really he knows he's the smartest guy in the room.
exactly. And like we can all relate in a sense that like we're under pressure, and if someone is saying something dumb, we're gonna be like, well, yeah, no shit. And
Yeah,
he's
that
very much like that. So
that
I love
action
that.
scene too. James Gunn said it was similar choreography to Yondu's action scene where he had that where he could whistle that arrow.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. Something I didn't pick up on, but once you hear that, it makes a lot of
Yeah. No, it definitely some correlation there.
yeah.
In at number four, I'm going Lois Lane. Um, Rachel Brosnahan did a fantastic job and arguably might be the best Lois Lane that we've seen in live action.
I would probably second that.
Like I'm trying to think of, like, Margot Kidder was really good, but I don't know. I think Brosnahan definitely did a better job.
Yeah,
Um, my only issue is they didn't really flesh out her character as much as they probably should have. Um, she like she also had some issues, like personal issues, throughout the movie that kind of like hold her back, but like they didn't really like explain why. And this would have been a good movie to do that in, because like you're not really going to see her in anything else. I would think. So I
nothing
mean,
soon
this would be
likely.
the opportunity to kind of build her character. I think they really missed the mark a little bit on that.
Okay.
But overall, like she did a fantastic job just playing the actor or playing the character and just being just a fiercely intelligent and like just never giving up. Like she just
Yeah.
never gave up, which is a great trait for Lois Lane.
Hmm.
Um, in at number three, oh man, this could be a hot take, but I'm going David Cornsweet's Superman at number three.
Ooh, okay.
This is absolutely no disrespect to him because I think he embodies the character
Yeah.
full out. I just think my other two choices kind of stole the show. But he hit every nail on the head that he needed to live up to being Superman. I love that they brought in the hypno glasses to kind of like to kind of settle the debate, like, oh, why can't anyone recognize him if he always wears his glasses?
Right.
They bring in the hypno glasses. I'm okay with that. A little goofy, like with that said, but I mean, I can believe it. And it
Hmm.
makes sense. He's an alien, right? Like he's gonna have the access to otherworldly technology, so it
Yeah.
just makes sense.
And one
Um,
thing that the universe really lets you know right from the start, metahumans have been here for 300 years.
yes,
So it's a completely different world.
yes, and one that like the establishment of metahumans like for like centuries at this point is great, and I am looking forward to what they can do with that.
It opens up a
Um,
lot of avenues. Yeah.
it does. But yeah, no, go back to David Cornsweet. Like I just he like I said, he hits the nail on the head like for everything that you want out of him. Like he's confident, he's vulnerable, he is relatable.
Hmm.
Which I mean, having a Superman that's relatable is just really hard to do because he is Superman, right? Like he is. It's almost like Captain America in a sense, but like times 11,
Yeah.
because Superman is like he's indestructible. He is a goody two shoes, so to speak. Is really hard to relate to, which is why for
Well,
a long time in comic book land, people kind of went towards Batman because he's got faults, right?
yeah.
And he's got things that cause him issues. We haven't really seen that in Superman until now, where you kind of have a Superman that has a bit of a crisis of faith, which makes him vulnerable, which makes him relatable.
Yeah.
And they do a great job. James Gunn wrote that beautifully, and I'm looking forward to how they maybe expand on that going forward. So I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion. We're going to get a Superman 2 at some point in the next 2 or 3 years, and I'm
Yeah.
all aboard on that. In at number two, I'm going Crypto the dog
Nice.
because why not? He is fantastic. Um, the opening scene, I think anyone who's ever owned a dog can relate to that on every possible level where Superman has just gotten his ass kicked. He is bleeding. He's just beat, right? Like he's just not all there, and he calls Crypto to kind of help him. And what does Crypto do? Does what a dog does and just starts pouncing on him because he wants to play. And Superman's just like, no, go home. And yeah, just a great scene. The scene with Crypto lying on Clark's chest in his home. Again, everyone can kind of just relate to that. It's just it's feel good, right?
Yeah,
Um, Crypto getting the hot tag. I mean, Brandon, you called it months ago. Crypto was getting that hot tag, and he did, and it led to the victory of the day. So I mean, and
I was
I agree
pretty
with
happy
you.
about that. I was supposed to stand out of my chair. That's how excited I was.
If we would have been back row, 100%. Um, I agree with you though. They need to merchandise the crap out of Crypto because the movie's not probably not going to make $1 billion, which I really was hoping it would.
Yeah,
Um, it's on track for roughly 700, give or
yeah.
take.
We'll see how
Um,
Fantastic Four hurts it, but yeah,
yes, 100%. I'm actually interested to see how the drop off is this weekend. Like, if there's no drop off, it could exceed 700. But I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to say because like, there's so many big movies kind of coming out in a very small window, which sucks because for like fans
hmm
because like you can't your favorite movies might get hurt because of it.
yeah.
But
Internationally, it's not doing great, but I don't know if it's opened in all markets yet.
it has not. I mean, it did. It did okay for opening weekend though, and despite
Yeah, I'm not
the
sure. Like,
how
if it's
restricted it
China, it
was.
still needs to open in, which I think it does. That's a big market, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
I don't know about India or some of the other bigger markets, but
But yeah, no, it'll make money in a sense. I don't know if it'll make its full budget back, but I mean, it's enough to kind of put away fears that the DC universe is alive and well.
yeah.
Like the fact that it was that everyone was like, okay, well, what's going to happen with this? Those are put to rest because this was done wonderfully, and it's gonna make its money through merchandise 100%, and it's gonna make its money in its sequels. And in a number one, I'm going Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor because he is probably my favorite part of this entire movie.
Wow.
His self awareness is a breath of fresh air. Like while he is evil and he wants to destroy Superman, he wants to be a king, and all this stuff. Like that's pretty over the top evil. He is self aware enough to know his own why he's driven the way he is, and he even says it in a monologue. And you made the point that he monologues quite a bit in the movie, but that's his ego, right?
Yeah.
Doing that, like that's just that plays up into the character itself. And I mean, the fact that you have a scene where he throws a cup with pens in it and demands his underlings to pick them up, and they do it at the snap of a finger, and he just keeps throwing shit on the floor and they keep picking it up right away. Like
hmm
that's next level evil. Like you couldn't get away with that. Like there's not an MCU character like villain that can get away with that.
Yeah.
uh
And they
I
even
just
justify his monologue in the prison because he's Superman says that you're not going to let me out, and
Yeah,
Lex is like yes, and it kind of explains the whole monologuing in the first
yeah,
place.
like it kind of takes like that trope where the bad guy reveals his big plan, but he's like, well, I'm gonna kill you, so like I may as well just tell you.
Yeah.
Like like Lex had no would not have any inkling whatsoever that Superman would be able to get out because he had a foolproof plan.
Yeah.
Until I mean, in one of the most evil moments, and this is the one that I call back to The Departed in, when Lex is like threatening this small side character that Superman saved earlier, and with Russian roulette, and he shoots him on the second shot, and he's like, "Huh, that ended quicker than I thought." It's like that gave me like glimpses of The Departed where Jack Nicholson murders a woman, and he's like, "Huh, she fell funny." Like, that's just messed up.
Yeah. Did you see, Will, the salaries of some of the top cast members?
I have
Uh,
not.
so Nicholas Holt was the highest earner on the film, making $2 million. And a lot of people were kind of blown away by that because traditionally you would think David Cornsweet, Superman, he's the lead of the movie, he would get paid the most. But people don't realize how good Nicholas Holt is. I mean, I know you're a big fan of The Menu. I love Mad Max, Fury Road, and X Men First Class. Juror Number Two, the latest Clint Eastwood movie he's in, is really good. So I'm really glad to see that more people are realizing how good Nicholas Holt is. But people need to recognize too that David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan, although they only made about 750,000, had that much salary in this movie. That's only going to go up and up and up with more movies they do. They're going to become bigger and bigger stars. I mean, David Cornsweet says he wants to play an X-wing pilot. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that right now? His stock is going up. So is Rachel Brosnahan. So is Nicholas Holt. I mean,
Well, I
this
mean,
movie really did wonders for their careers.
if we want to do it, like, it's not really surprising because I mean, David Cornsweet was a relative nobody going into this. Like,
His biggest credit was either Pearl, which is a low budget A24 horror movie, or being like the fifth or sixth biggest character in Twisters.
exactly, like this was definitely a risk by James Gunn. Like, and
Yeah,
I know we're doing a lot of callbacks to Iron Man, but I mean, it's really not a whole lot different than uh John Favreau and bringing Robert Downey Jr. And like Robert
yeah.
Downey Jr. made no money off of Iron Man. Like I think his salary was less than $1 million as well back in 2006 or 2005.
And now he's one of the highest earners ever.
Exactly. Like I mean, it was a huge risk to bring him aboard, and he nailed it. James Gunn did the same thing. He went with a relative nobody. Like he could have copped out and brought in Henry Cavill. He really could have. And I don't think a lot of people would have blamed him because Cavill is established. He's well known. He's recognizable. And he's like you could build an entire movie around him. You with like through any sort of story, you could build around him. But going with a relative nobody, it's a big risk. And I mean the fact that their salaries reflect that, I mean it's not totally surprising. I am surprised that Nicholas Holt is the highest earner at only $2 million. Like, I mean, that would bring the whole cast like probably less than 15 million total.
Probably. Which I mean, you could use that money elsewhere, better visual
Exactly.
effects, etc.
And I
Give me one
mean,
second.
the visual effects of this movie are pretty damn good. So I mean, money well spent.
Okay, I only got about 6% battery life here, Will.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do I got two more topics I want to discuss. First, I mentioned my favorite scene in the movie being Ma and Pa Kent specifically on the porch, talking with Clark about, a job of parents is to give you the tools to make a fool out of yourself, and how he thought it said more about Clark what he wanted that message to be than what it actually was. What was your favorite scene of the movie, Will?
Ooh, favorite scene. I I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like it's really hard for me to narrow down like a favorite scene in a lot of movies. Like I mean, not a lot of them have like those standout insane moments, right? And I don't think this movie really has that standout moment to me. Uh, but I'm gonna shout out the scene where Clark in is in Lois's apartment in the middle of the night, and in the background you see the Justice Gang just fighting this giant ass imp, interdimensional imp, and they're having this like really sweet heart to heart type of moment. I believe that's where he says he loves her, and
Yes.
she doesn't respond back to him. And the whole scene, like I love that entire scene. Like the whole thing, the background was like, while it was a little chaotic and a little distracting, but it doesn't really take away from the scene, which is really weird. It was just
Right.
a really nice kind of just a moment. It was a tender moment in the movie where Clark's kind of near his lowest, and he just expresses himself fully to Lois Lane, and just while that's going on, there's an imp in the background getting its ass kicked.
I can confirm Will was laughing for the entire duration of that scene due to that interdimensional imp. But I mean, it was a great scene. I mean, there's no scene that felt bad. There's no scene that felt forced or overstayed its welcome in my eyes. But Will, we have talked a lot about some things we do like about this movie. I want to quickly discuss some things that we don't like about this movie, and then we'll save more of our in-depth like theories, the references, the cameos till tomorrow, and we'll talk about some plot threads that could become important later on in the DCU. So, well, I ended up at a 9.5, but I do have some criticisms I agree with, some that I don't. First of all, the post-credit scenes weren't really necessary. They were just kind of a fun little tidbit. But to me, if you're going to put a post-credit scene in a movie, I want it to be worth my time staying in the credits for 10 minutes or so. To me, I didn't really felt like that was worth my time, to be quite honest. It is somewhat concerning that James Gunn has said there's going to be little scenes like that, and that post-credit scenes aren't going to be as important as they are in the MCU, which is fine. But also, I would rather there be no post-credit scene and a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end than a cliffhanger at the end and post-credit scenes that aren't really don't really set up anything important, right? At least that's the way I feel. Another minor nitpick. I hate that the Superman emblem is on the back of his cape as well. I don't know why that drove me crazy, but just didn't feel right. But it does kind of make sense if like you could see it's Superman. There's probably different people with capes, red capes in this universe, distinguishes that it's Superman. And there is some humor that just didn't really work for me. The scene where with Mister Terrific opening the garage door and it takes like 30 seconds was something that I could have done without. And that post credit scene as well. I mean, I didn't really find it particularly funny. Some people have tried to deduce that maybe that's a reference to what James Gunn is trying to do with DC, trying to make it look nice and put it back together, and that it was sort of a joke kind of for him. But either way, I don't think it was really necessary. Um, I mentioned the monologuing, but I mean, a lot of it was justified. To me, and I am alone in this, and I understand this, the monologue at the end where Superman is saying, I may be an alien, but I'm a human. I get out of bed, I put one foot in front of the other, and try to do the best I can. To me, that just didn't really fully land. I don't know why. It felt a little too exposition-y, but it also is something Superman would say. So I get why it didn't bother other people, but to me, it felt really tell, not show. But that whole visual of him standing across from Lex with his arms crossed, that was a really cool visual. That was one of the highlights of the movie because that is Superman, that is Lex Luthor, and that's the relationship. So,
And I mean that was preceded by Superman doing his best Scott Stevens impersonation when he body checked the crap out of Lex.
yeah, and Crypto having his Hulk smash type moment.
Yeah.
But those are my like 3 or 4 small criticisms with the movie. Will, is there any other ones that you have?
Um. Oh man, I might get some hate for this.
Oh
I
boy,
was not a fan of Jimmy Olsen.
really?
I don't know if it was the way it was written or if it was the actor. He, I don't know. He felt. I don't even know how to really describe it. He just didn't feel. He didn't feel like Jimmy Olsen to me, and
Okay.
I don't know. It's really it's hard for me to kind of describe it. I didn't like the way he treated Eve. Like I mean, I know everyone's gonna have opinions about Eve's character and all that, and I mean everyone might have seen people like that in their social media viewings, but I mean at the same time, it just he felt very insincere, and I know that
Hmm.
was kind of a running gag throughout the movie, with his relationship pertaining to Eve. But I like calling her like having her in his contacts as like web toes or something like that. I don't know. It felt unnecessarily mean,
Yeah.
and I don't. Jimmy Olsen to me isn't a character that is over the top mean, and this just felt like just unnecessary in some sense. Um, my only other nitpick, and it's not even with the movie itself, it's just with the whole rumors kind of being spread around right now. In my opinion, James Gunn and the DC universe need to rein it in a little bit, and they should not be green lighting shows that shouldn't be made. The MCU's done that, and they failed miserably at it. They were creating shows out of random memes and random characters that were hot for 30 seconds.
What
Um,
examples do you have in mind there?
so they made the entire series of Agatha. Like there was no reason for that show to be made.
I'm talking more about the DCU.
Oh, the DC. So like doing a Jimmy Olsen TV show. Like I mean, that's not really. I don't think that's necessary.
I wouldn't mind it in the sense that it could be like a reporting drama where he's trying to report on some issue that maybe there's some supervillain behind. I think it could be almost like what She-Hulk should have been without the She-Hulk.
A perfect example of a show that did not need to be made.
You know me, Will. I've been saying for years. I think Marvel should do more non-superhero centric stuff,
Yes, yes. No,
but
I get that. But
I don't
when
know
it comes,
how big of a draw it would be though. If that's kind of what you're getting at.
well, what I'm getting at is just like I don't want to see the DC universe stretching itself so thin. Like we were seeing with Marvel right now.
Yeah,
Like Marvel cannot buy a break, even with Thunderbolts. Like they had a great movie with Thunderbolts, but people are just like, meh. Why should I care about these characters, right?
yeah.
Even
And
though
well,
they're
it's easy.
important and the message was important,
Yeah.
but it just didn't hit the audience that it should have been because, and my theory on that is the stuff that came out previously to that just sucked for the most part because it it was stuff that didn't need to be made, right?
So here's
Uh,
what I would say to that. Number one, it's definitely true. Kevin Feige is spread thin. I think it's easy to assume that James Gunn could easily be spread thin because he's the head of the studio and he directed this movie.
yes,
And we have heard that it seems like him and Andy Muschietti might not be on the same page for Batman Brave and the Bold. But it seems to me that James Gunn is not someone who, as a studio head, wants to interfere. It's more so someone presents him a script. He thinks it's good. Okay, green light it. You guys do it yourself. I'm going to do the more important world building with my writer's room, with Damon Lindelof, with Drew Goddard. I don't know. Another talking point, too, Will, could also be when is James Gunn going to direct again? Is it going to be Superman 2? Is it going to be Justice League? I mean, we kind of discussed that a little bit in our Art of Theater reaction, but I
uh,
do feel it's a little bit different because in Marvel, really the producers and the executive producers are all putting in input, and there's so many rewrites and there's so many reshoots. And Gunn has said, we are only starting production on a movie or a show when we think the script is good, when we don't have to do reshoots. And to me, that makes him in a little bit of a different position than Feige. Granted, the guy's still working his tail off. I mean, he just made a movie, went on a grueling press tour. I mean, this is one of the biggest marketing budgets for any movie ever. And James Gunn's been everywhere. Plus, he's still a studio head. I mean, he just read the Batman script. So I do kind of think, yeah, it could be a spread too thin thing. But also, if he trusts his creatives and his writer room, sure, there might not be as much quality control, perhaps. But I mean, at least he isn't going to be spread too thin on the things that matter, would be kind of my guess.
yeah, and I mean, like I do trust James Gunn. I mean, he hasn't really made like the Guardians trilogy was fantastic, so I mean he's earned the leeway and the benefit of the doubt, so to speak. But I mean, I think over promising is it does nothing but hurt you, and we've seen that with the MCU. They've overpromised for since Endgame on numerous projects, half of which are never going to see the light of day. Cough, blade, cough. Um, so I mean, just don't over promise. Like, I mean, if they come out tomorrow and we're like, oh yeah, we're going to be doing a Jimmy Olsen show, a Mr. Terrific show, a Green Lantern show, all this stuff. I mean, I already know there's a Green Lantern, I think, cartoon coming out.
I know it's live action
Is it
with
live action?
Kyle
Okay,
Chandler.
couldn't
They
remember.
just finished filming. I get your point though too. You don't want your audience to feel like they have to do homework, which is kind of
Yeah,
what the MCU's felt like lately.
yeah. I mean, like, just don't overpromise. Don't green light stuff that just to green light it is kind
Yeah,
of where I'm going with it. If there's a series being made of Mr. Terrific or Jimmy Olsen and it's a good series, like good scripts and good, then go ahead, by all means do it.
yeah.
But if you're gonna green light it before anything's even written, like at that point you're just gonna set yourself up for failure.
All right, guys. This concludes our spoiler and non-spoiler review for Superman. Come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about all the references, the cameos, theories for future films, and yeah, talk a lot more about the movie. Some of our more big moments that we think will have ramifications on the DCU. Again, make sure you subscribe for that. If you like this video, like and comment some of your favorite characters from the movie, maybe some that we didn't talk about here, and some of your ideas.